Hello, beautiful souls. We're talking about self love and self care in quarantine and beyond. And for many of us, we are beyond this time of quarantine, of confinement. We can go out into the world, but the world doesn't seem to be a very friendly place at the moment. And it can be discouraging because we want to make a difference, but we don't know where to start. And every person has this impression that what they can do is not enough. And that's not true. We need to remember that every act, every thought has a ripple effect, and that we can touch many people. Maybe not directly, but if we touch one person and that person touches another, we spread the kindness, we spread the love, we spread the image of a better world that we want to create. And I think if we hold this image, if we all have this vision, and I think even the people who are being unkind have the same ideal, I don't think we would have this idea if it was not in our power to create a better world. So I think we really have to keep going and to try. And if each person really does their best, that will make a huge difference. And I've noticed during confinement, I've noticed two things that really blew my mind. The first one was that so many people wanted to help and actually did help in any way they could. People were being kind and generous and creative and resourceful and really, really doing their best to help day after day after day. And that's amazing. That's beautiful. That gives me so much hope for the world. And the second thing is that I was spending so much more time in front of my computer than usual because, well, there was not a lot to do sometimes, and sometimes I was feeling depressed and I needed to find something to cheer me up. And there are many people I like to follow on Twitter, for instance, who are extremely funny, extremely wise, inspiring, and uplifting. And I've realized that many of these people are completely anonymous. They give a name, but it might not be a real name, or it might be something like inner wisdom that doesn't tell you anything about their age, their color, their nationality, their background, their occupation. And it's great because these things don't really matter. And what you see is that the person in question is wise, funny, creative, witty. That's all I want to see. That's all I need. And if we think about it, really, we limit ourselves when we define ourselves with all these superficial things. If I describe myself as a 50-year-old French woman, that won't tell you anything about the real me. You won't know anything about my tastes, my abilities, my passions, which are really more important than my nationality or my age or even the way I look like. To someone who is blind, the way I look like doesn't matter, but the fact that I have a funny story to tell, or that I can share useful tips and techniques to cheer someone up, that is a lot more relevant. And so I think we have to really stop limiting ourselves, and we have to be more authentic. I think it's much better to describe yourself, to define yourself in your own eyes as well, as a person who is warm and passionate and enthusiastic and caring and generous, than by just using your name, your nationality, your job to describe yourself. All these things don't matter. And we have to remember that we are limiting ourselves, other people, and our children when we force ourselves and when we force our kids to fit in, to blend in, to be what they're expected to be. We need to be unlimited because that's what we're supposed to be. And it's as if you had this wonderful paint box with so many bright colors, with which you could paint a wonderful picture with warm oranges and fiery reds and cheerful greens and bright yellows and cool calming blues. You could paint a rainbow, you could paint a Garden of Eden, you could paint something beautiful. And instead of that, you just mix everything together. You blend all the colors into a sort of muddy, murky, yucky, brownish grey. And of course, when people see that, they think, it's no wonder we are uninspired when we have this vision of the world, when everyone seems to be the same shade of dirty grey. That's awful. And I want to live in that sort of world. I want a world where I can be a peacock and shine all my colors instead of being told at every turn that I make a lousy pigeon because I'm supposed to be grey. I'm not grey. I'm me. I'm real. I'm a person. I'm not a piece of somebody else's idea of a lousy world. And we have to stop thinking we are average. We have to stop thinking we are limited. We have to stop thinking we are helpless and powerless, because that's not true. But the power is inside. The power needs to be freed. And that takes courage. Being authentic, being vulnerable, that takes courage and commitment. But we can do it. I'm sure we can do it. And I'm sure we can create a real world of beauty, of kindness, of fraternity, of safety, of respect, and a world where we can have fun, where we can be creative, where we can allow ourselves to make choices, then change them, because we are not just this or just that, but we can always evolve and grow and learn from each other, from ourselves, from our experiences. It's possible, but we have to believe that we can do it. And it starts right now. So that's all for today, but stay tuned and take care.